I'm going to test 3 different shafts, and this video is a bit of a double-edged sword. I have the KBS PGI and TGI shafts. Now, the PGI is a slightly softer version of the graphite shaft in the KBS lineup, and the TGI, the Tor graphite iron, is the slightly harder, firmer, stronger profile. So I've gone slightly heavier in the softer shaft and slightly lighter in the harder shaft to see if those ideas cross over with each other. So I have the 90 gram TGI at the top and then the softer profile in 100, so the PGI in 100. Again, I want to see how they cross over or whether they come out quite similar. And then it's also an opportunity to have a go with the Axiom 95. In the PGI TGI graphite shafts from KBS, there isn't a flex written on the shaft. It's just profile and weight. But anyway, I want to put the Axiom 95 in between these two ideas. And I want to see whether this Axiom 95 sits in between these two ideas or whether it sits outside of the box of the KBS shafts. I'm using all of these shafts on the Avoda Origin 60-degree lie angle demo head. Now the 60-degree lie angle is slightly flatter, so the head sits slightly lower down than a standard lie angle, which leans the ball out to the right hand side, which for me is ideal. Golf ball of choice is what we got. So if we just go with a Shrixon Z-Star, slightly softer than the diamond. So let's ping a few out there, see what we get. Oh, slightly stiff swing, haven't hit any balls yet. Let me get a few under my belt. Just to the right, no stress. And don't forget to hit the like button if you like shaft tests, because I very much do. There he is, there's a strike. And back in the room. Yeah, nice, here we go. And as ever, I'm going to kind of like aim down the middle here and put the club head through the ball and see what comes out. So as the shaft bends in every shaft, the shaft bends on the way back and then it releases into the ball. And if a shaft bends and releases at different rates, at different amounts, we're going to see different ball flights. So I'm not going to fight what the shafts want to do for me. Oh, lovely, lovely jubbly. I'm going to whack a few of those early ones out because I'm still warming up. It's basically the first 2. Right, let's have a little go with the Axiom. The whole idea behind the Axiom shafts is that we've got Velicore tip technology that we also have in the Ventus lineup of shafts. The idea is that the weave in the shaft reduces how much that head can twist on an off-center hit. So I have seen historically that we get a slightly tighter dispersion when we kind of get the right category in your hands. Let's see what it does compared to the KBS. Well, that's a pretty good start, isn't it? Boink, near the pin. And same ball. So I'm going to have a look at the different heights. I'm going to have a look at the different like amounts of draw, how consistent the carry is. Maybe talk about a bit of feel, because that feels quite smooth and easy. Got the pin pretty covered. Shot 11, so I had 9 with the last shaft. That wasn't perfect. It was just a little bit skinny. So the carry was a bit shorter, but we're there. Always pulled it. Pretty consistent there. I mean, come on. You got a load of grey dots by the pin and then 1 outlier. Okay, they're a good shaft, but they do indeed cost lots of money. I have had the Axiom 105X in my own irons for a while. I'm gonna come away from them in the next set, and then we'll see how long it is before I just go, let's put them in the new ones. Right, lighter weight, 90 grams, or 90 in model, however you want to see it. But the TGI, so the firmer profile of shaft, 10 grams lighter than the softer profile of shaft that I have here. Do I get a massive change in feel? Do I get a massive change in height, in spin, in all of it? It does feel quite solid, even though it's lighter. Bosh, yep, nice. So the beauty of the PGI and TGI shafts as well, from a fitter's perspective or from a club builder's perspective, is that we do have a lot of choice in different weights. You've got 70, 80, 90, 100, 110 in 2 different profiles of shaft, and then you go into the max in the KBS lineup, which is a lighter, more wobbly version of the shaft, but it just gives us more strings to the bow of like, where do you want to be? How can we fine tune those elements of the sort of like shaft for you as a golfer? Now there is a bit of trial and error. There is the process of hitting the different shafts and seeing what suits you. So I'm trying to get these relative to each other, because you might have had one of these 3 shafts in your hands and you want to know what something else does by comparison. If you hit the ball too low and we find out one shaft goes higher, then you know you want to kind of like lean in that idea, in that direction. If you hit the ball too high and you want to bring the ball flight down, videos like these across the channel will help you go, if I sort of lean into that shaft, that's going to go lower. That's what I want the ball flight to do. So either reshafting your existing clubs, or if you're already in the market for buying a new set of clubs and you're only buying them online, for example, or going for a fitting, you know where you want to look first. So I'm here to help. Oh, a little bit skinny. Little bit skinny. I did just get over that a little bit too much. We're pin high left, we're all right. We're all right. Throw the club head through the ball and we are cooking. Do the important bit. Something like that. Oh, a couple of left leans. So after this, I'm going to go straight back to the PGI so I can get some direct feedback in the change in feel. But this definitely does feel like the hardest shaft, the one that has the least amount of bend in it. The other 2 just feel a bit smoother in like going through the ball. One more with this. Okay. On the green still, all good in the hood. And then we go PGI 100, so softer in style, softer in profile, but heavier in weight. That is smoother. Now, the reason hard shafts and soft shafts exist is because when the shaft bends and releases through the ball, if I do a really slow, smooth go into the golf ball, the shaft's going to react less. If you have quite an aggressive bang bang, you're going to make the shaft bend more. So generally people with more aggressive snaps in the backswing suit firmer, harder styles of shaft, because the softer shaft just goes whir. That's the technical term. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? Does your swing get a bit snappy because you do that to make a shaft work? Or is your swing already snappy and then you choose a shaft to match that? If you catch my drift. Have you ever felt like you have to work for a shaft? Have you ever felt like you have to adjust your swing to suit a certain shaft? Or have you ever just picked up a composition of head and shaft and gone, oh, that's so easy? Because it might just be that it matches your kind of frequency through the ball. And don't fight that just because a piece of paper says, oh, your swing speed should use this shaft. If you have a shaft that performs well, take it, use it, accept it. Right, I want one good shot with the TGI 90. So firmer profile but lighter weight. Yep, that'll do the trick. Nice. No, I misread it. And then we'll have a little waz with the Axiom. Boink. Oh, it just has a different loaded feel through the ball. it's only just, but it just feels more meaty through the golf ball. While I'm jumping from shaft to shaft, I'm going, there's a difference in feel. If I chose any of these shafts, I can play golf with any of these shafts. So it's not like, oh my God, you must have that shaft. I just prefer the feel of that, and I like the sort of closeness of the data to each other. But what can I say? They're good. On a side note, something I do when I build a golf club in the shop is put a little sticker on there, so you know my hands have been on it. What do you reckon to this idea of having a sticker that's the same, but it's got some space on there to write your yardage on it? I, for one, am quite looking forward to doing that, because I do normally Sharpie it on the back of the club head, but it just might look better on the shaft. So Axiom peak height is all looking quite uniform. We've got one a little bit higher, one a little bit lower, but then 14, 12, 14, 13, 16. It's kind of repeating itself quite well. I've got one kind of misstrike in there as such, and then one that went 20 yards left and the rest didn't. So if I take that one shot out, that 188 average just sits so tight to itself, and I do see that in Axiom shafts quite often. I've put one bad swing, one bad strike within that cluster, and they're just dancing around the same number within 2 yards. 186 to 188, apart from the one outlier. Anyway, KBS also exists. KBS, we've got a 177 there in the TGI. Let's get you out a little bit. Let's get that one ignored. And then in the PGI, there's one ignored there. Why is that ignored? Put you back in. Yeah, pretty good. So we kind of dropped down to that 80. We've got an 82 there as well, but peak heights down to 96, up to 116. So there's a bigger spread in height, PGI wise, but again, I've got 185 with 2 yards variance. It's not bad in its overall production of distance and output. PGI to TGI, 320 draw spin on the heavier, softer PGI, 316 draw spin on the TGI. So the side spin is very, very close to each other. Angle of descent, 47.6 PGI. 48.5 TGI, so I'm coming in 1 degree steeper on the stiffer profile of shaft, and I've got more height on the stiffer profile of shaft. Now you might assume that a stiffer profile shaft will go lower, however we had it slightly lighter, so that again might pick up that kind of launch angle getting a little bit higher as the face maybe doesn't release or rotate and shut down as easily. But 185 against 185, once we've taken that one out, we're looking pretty similar to each other in overall output. So 47.6, 48.5 turns into 49 on the Axiom. So 49 on the Axiom has a higher peak height, so I've got more height than the other two, and I've got more spin than the other two, and I've got more speed than the other two. So it kind of sits outside the scope of the two KBS shafts. And if we take out that one outlier that was 20 yards in the Axiom, we've got one taken out here. We've got 80, 12 left, 12 left, 11 left, 12 left, 12 right. So let's take that right one out. 12 left, 13 left, 10 left, 5 right, 4 left, 4 right, 10 left. So there's a random right one mixed in there on the PGI. So now I want to look at the dispersion rings. The tightest one there is the Axiom, and then slightly wider, not a massive, huge, astronomical amount, but I do consistently see this kind of pattern with Axiom shafts. And I've just tried to pick out the worst shot from each shaft there, just to give it a fair chance. I only had one to take out of the Axiom. Let's call it a bad swing or bad connection, whatever it is. You're falling over. But Axiom with that Velocore tip technology, even though so I took the worst shot out the TGI, and the speed got closer to the Axiom, but it's still just behind. But once again, Axiom maintains that little bit of ball speed, it maintains that little bit of dispersion, it's got a little bit more spin, a little bit more height compared to the other Graphite shafts there. So it doesn't sit in between them, it kind of sits offset with itself, and if you want to spend that little bit of extra money, you're going to get that little bit cleaner data. So what do you think? Have you tried the Axiom? Would you ever try the Axiom? Or would you go more towards the KBS? Because we've got a lot of brands that are kind of starting to introduce the KBS as stock shafts. So I think Shrixon might do it at some point. Avoda have them in their spectrum of shafts as well, and they're part of their fitting process. But I think graphite iron shafts are going to really have a big movement into the iron industry, into the golf industry over the next, say, 4 or 5 years. I reckon they're just going to be just as dominant as a lot of steel shafts. We'll see. What do you reckon? After you've hit the like button, I'll see you on the next video.